Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Jinger Duggar shares why she didn't tell James about her pregnancy. Counting on alum, Jinger Duggar Vulo has been sharing stories following her third pregnancy announcement. One of her latest vlogs featured her revelations to some of her siblings and her mother, Michelle. But Jinger's new podcast with Jeremy tells the story about why her brother, James, was the last to know that she was expecting. Keep reading to see her confession. Counting on. Jinger Duggar shares when she told her family about her pregnancy. In her latest podcast episode, Jinger shared some stories about how she told her family about her pregnancy. According to the Counting on alum, some family members who learned about her pregnancy were her sisters and Michelle. They were hanging out in a hot tub when she told them she couldn't hop in because she had a baby in her tummy. Everybody was shocked by what Jinger said and later celebrated. Jinger also revealed that she was about 8 or 9 weeks pregnant when she started sharing the news with both her and Jeremy's families. "I think we told my family and then most of your family around 8 or 9 weeks, just because it's not often that they're out here," she said, but what caught the attention of many was how James was left out of the huge news. Jinger shares why she didn't tell James about her pregnancy. During the same podcast, Jinger said that her brother was the last person to know about her pregnancy. According to the Counting on alum, she felt so bad about forgetting to tell her brother because she thought everybody knew already. "I was just casually talking about the pregnancy, and he was like, 'What? You're pregnant?'" She recalled before saying, "I was like, 'James, I can't believe I didn't tell you.'" Jinger Duggar Vulo went on to say that it was uncommon for their family to have several members miss out on such huge life updates because of how huge they are. She added that she didn't want to use their group chat and wanted to share her pregnancy with each of her siblings in person. Counting on. When is Jinger Duggar due? According to Jinger Duggar Vulo, she's expecting to welcome her third child in March next year. The Counting on alum has yet to figure out the gender of her third baby. But some fans think Jinger and Jeremy will hold a gender reveal party just like many other couples from the family. Jinger Duggar Vulo, a name synonymous with the Duggar family's reality TV fame, has always had a unique voice amid her numerous siblings. With each passing year, fans of the Duggar family have watched Jinger grow from a reserved young girl living in a strict household to a modern woman forging her own path. Over the years, Jinger has become increasingly open about her personal life, from her decision to wear pants, which broke away from her family's traditional modesty rules, to her struggles with faith and identity after moving away from Arkansas. One topic, however, remained carefully tucked away in Jinger's heart: her second pregnancy and why she chose not to share the news with her younger brother James. In a recent interview, Jinger revealed the complex emotions and internal struggles that led her to withhold this joyful news from him. Her reasons, she explained, are deeply rooted in both personal fear and the difficult dynamics that come with growing up in such a large and high-profile family. A tale of two siblings, Jinger and James. Jinger and James Duggar, although separated by several years in age, have always shared a unique bond. Being one of the middle children, James grew up watching his older siblings, including Jinger, navigate the challenges of living under the constant scrutiny of television cameras and the strict expectations set by their parents, Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar. As the 10th child in the family, James had a front-row seat to the whirlwind of media attention and the rigid belief system that governed their lives. Jinger, as the sixth born, had already lived through much of the family's rise to fame by the time James was growing up. As she matured, Jinger developed a more introspective approach to her faith and values, while James, still young, remained firmly rooted in the family's more traditional ways. This difference in their perspectives may have contributed to Jinger's hesitation to share the news of her second pregnancy with James. In her interview, she spoke candidly about her concern that James, though dear to her, might not understand the full context of her life choices, especially as she and her husband, Jeremy Vulo, had distanced themselves from the Duggar family's belief system. The weight of expectations for Jinger, her second pregnancy, was a time of immense joy, but it was also overshadowed by anxiety. Having suffered a miscarriage before welcoming her second daughter, Evangeline Jo, in 2020, Jinger was acutely aware of the fragility of life. The fear of another potential loss weighed heavily on her heart, and it was this fear that initially led her to keep the news of her pregnancy from most of her family, including James. "I was scared," Jinger confessed during her interview. "After the miscarriage, I was just filled with so much anxiety. I didn't want to tell anyone until I knew for sure that everything was okay. I couldn't bear the thought of sharing good news only for it to be followed by heartache. This sense of caution was heightened by the Duggars' intense focus on motherhood and family growth. In their conservative Christian circles, children were seen as blessings from God, and pregnancy announcements were usually met with unrestrained joy. Jinger feared that sharing her pregnancy too soon, before she had fully processed her own emotions, would put undue pressure on her. I didn't want to hear the usual responses, Jinger explained. It's all in God's hands, or trust the Lord. Those are comforting words, but when you're in the midst of your own personal struggle, sometimes you just need space to process what you're feeling without being told what to think or how to feel. The complexity of family relationships. Another layer to Jinger's decision not to tell James was the complicated nature of her relationship with the Duggar family as a whole. After moving to Los Angeles with Jeremy and taking a more independent stance on many issues, including faith and lifestyle, Jinger had unintentionally created some distance between herself and her parents and siblings. While this distance wasn't necessarily marked by conflict, it did lead to a sense of estrangement in certain aspects of her life. James and I have always been close, Jinger shared. But I wasn't sure how he'd react to the news, especially since Jeremy and I were doing things so differently from how we were raised. I didn't want my pregnancy to become a topic of debate or judgment. I just wanted it to be my own, something I could enjoy and celebrate without the weight of family expectations. This sentiment is not unusual in large families, particularly ones with public personas. The Duggars, who rose to fame through their TLC show 19 Kids and Counting, have always portrayed themselves as a unified front. However, as the children have grown older and started their own families, their individual choices have sometimes clashed with the ideals they were brought up with. For Jinger, her move to California, her decision to wear more modern clothing, and her approach to raising her daughters have all been points of contention or at least quiet concern within the Duggar family. While she and James have always maintained a loving relationship, Jinger's choices have, in some ways, separated her from the traditional values that still define much of her family. Protecting her peace. Ultimately, Jinger's decision not to share the news of her pregnancy with James stemmed from a desire to protect her peace. After experiencing the emotional roller coaster of a miscarriage, she wanted to navigate her second pregnancy on her own terms, without the added pressure of family reactions. I needed space to breathe, to focus on my health, and to keep my anxiety at bay, Jinger admitted. It wasn't about keeping secrets or shutting James out of my life. It was about protecting my mental and emotional well-being. As her pregnancy progressed and she grew more confident that her baby was healthy, Jinger did eventually share the news with her family, including James. While her initial secrecy was met with some surprise, her family was ultimately supportive, understanding her reasons for keeping the news private.